You're listening to the Intellectual Investor Podcast. To read this article online or to listen to more episodes, visit investor.fm. Episode 257, Warren Buffett and the Berkshire Hathaway Paradox. I am back from what has become, over the past 2 decades, an annual pilgrimage to Omaha. What's fascinating about this trip is that it has everything and nothing to do with Warren Buffett. The main event that draws everyone to Omaha, the Berkshire Hathaway (BRK) annual meeting, is actually the least important part. I could have watched the shareholder meeting live-streamed on YouTube from the comfort of my living room couch. The emergence of the Berkshire phenomenon reminds me of China's manufacturing evolution. China initially attracted capital because of its cheap labor, but over time, China took this capital and plowed it into infrastructure. Factories were built next to each other, each specializing in certain areas. A specialized ecosystem emerged. Today, Chinese labor is no longer cheap. It's been replaced by automation. And now China is a powerhouse for manufacturing anything and everything. The transformation that the BRK weekend has undergone followed a similar progression. Initially, the only way to absorb Buffett and Munger's wisdom was to come to Omaha, as the event was not streamed. But then something interesting happened. The BRK weekend attracted people who shared the same value system, and friendships were formed. A variety of smaller events began to be scheduled throughout the same weekend across Omaha, and an equally specialized ecosystem emerged. The shareholder meeting began to be streamed about 10 years ago, but that has had no impact on attendance. This is one reason why I think Buffett is at peace with the idea of no longer presiding at the meeting. People will still come to Omaha the weekend before Mother's Day. The BRK weekend now features dozens of excellent events. I spoke at several, including an investing panel at Creighton University, alongside the wonderful Bob Robotti, a die-hard value investor who runs Robotti & Company. I've known Bob for years. At 72, he exhibits the same enthusiasm for stocks as someone decades younger. And this panel was an excellent example of what the BRK Omaha ecosystem has produced. Bob and I have very different approaches to value investing. He loves cyclical businesses, while I generally shun them. Bob mentioned that he'd buy a very cheap business run by a mediocre manager, while I would not touch it with a 10-foot pole. There is absolutely nothing wrong with either approach. Indeed, there is an important lesson in it. Your investment philosophy and process have to fit your personality and your EQ. In my case, I get nervous, and thus irrational, when I own companies run by imbeciles who don't have either skin or soul in the game. But the great thing about the BRK weekend is that I learn from Bob every time I spend time with him. He's a thoughtful and genuinely kind human being. From the outside, the BRK weekend may seem like a place where people simply want to learn how to get and stay rich. But this gathering transcends value investing and capitalism and genuinely celebrates human values. People like me bring their kids to this event. And just like at the main event at the Q&A breakfast I hosted for my readers, many questions centered on life rather than investing. My first Omaha reader meetup fit around a small restaurant table. This year, to my surprise, 450 people packed into a venue with standing room only. I answered questions on every imaginable topic for just over 2 hours. And by the end, I was exhausted. This gave me even greater admiration for Buffett, who is 4 decades my senior, yet still fielded questions for 4 solid hours. I was delighted to hear Warren give a similar answer to one I had given the day before, when asked what advice he'd give to graduating students. Don't worry too much about starting salaries, and be very careful who you work for, because you will take on the habits of the people around you. We are going to host our next Q&A breakfast on May 1st, 2026. You can find a link in the show notes. It's free. But I suggest you sign up early as it fills up fast. I also participated, as I have for over a decade, in an investing panel at YPO, Young President Organization, in the beautiful Holland Performance Arts Center, with Tom Gaynor, CEO of Markel, often described as a baby Berkshire Hathaway, and Lawrence Cunningham. Lawrence authored perhaps the most important book about Buffett, The Essays of Warren Buffett, masterfully editing Warren's annual letters into a cohesive volume. This year's panel was one of those occasions where I found myself listening intently to my fellow panelists instead of speaking more. Lawrence has met Greg Abel, Buffett's designated successor, and feels optimistic about him. He's probably right. This was one of Buffett's most crucial decisions, which he did not make lightly. Yet, I can't imagine sitting for 4 hours listening to Greg Abel. I am sure he is a brilliant CEO, but he's neither Buffett nor Munger. Few individuals possess so much worldly wisdom and communicate it with such clarity and humor. This brings me to the point of this note, the dramatic yet not unexpected announcement that Buffett is stepping down as CEO of BRK at the end of the year. Before I comment on this, let me tell you a story. Imagine you have been watching a soap opera for 17 years. You arrive dutifully every year to watch every episode in person. And then, you miss the last 5 minutes of the explosive finale before it goes off the air. This is what happened to me when Buffett announced his retirement as CEO. A few minutes before noon, while Buffett was answering a question I'd heard before and appeared to be winding down, I suggested we slip out early for lunch to avoid the crowds. When we came back, I discovered that the meeting had gone on until 1 p.m., and just before it ended, Buffett announced that he would step down at the end of the year. 17 years of watching Warren speak. And I missed the most dramatic moment of all, followed by a 5-minute standing ovation. I think Buffett has engineered his exit brilliantly. He will still remain chairman, and even before the announcement, he was not managing BRK's day-to-day operations. As a collection of hundreds of companies that often have absolutely nothing in common with each other, BRK is already highly decentralized. Buffett's main contribution has been capital allocation. Giving up the CEO title while he's still alive means Buffett has brought in his replacement in an orderly way and created a smooth transition. But I have a feeling that on January 1st, 2026, when Greg Abel officially becomes CEO, nothing will really change. And Warren will continue doing what he's been doing for as long as he can. If Buffett is able, he'll be 95. He'll still drive to the office and stop by McDonald's for a breakfast sandwich. There's a lot of wisdom in finding pleasure in little things. His son Howard Buffett will become chairman after Warren, with his only job being to preserve the culture. I've been asked what I think of BRK stock. We bought the stock during the pandemic. It has done better than I expected, in part because of the strong performance of Apple, which was BRK's largest holding. But BRK today is an unexciting investment at its current price. In all honesty, it is a conglomerate with some good and some merely okay businesses. As a consumer, I get a small glimpse into how BRK businesses are being run by visiting Dairy Queen. BRK owns DQ, and I love their soft-serve ice cream, though I only eat it when I travel. My favorite part of research, DQ has, or maybe had, a strong brand and operates on a capital-light model as a franchisor. But most stores I have visited look like they have been neglected and need fresh paint. To be sure, I understand the limitations of this analysis, and DQ overall amounts to a rounding error on BRK's financials. But little things often reveal much about big things. BRK's big businesses, from what I can glean through their financials, are not particularly well managed. GEICO and BNSF Railroad have definitely been undermanaged lately. BNSF is not nearly as efficient as its competitors that embraced precision railroading, and until recently, GEICO was losing market share to Progressive. BRK's reinsurance business, a significant source of BRK's profitability, is run by the extraordinary Ajit Jain. Ajit is in his 70s, and unfortunately, it seems he is not in great health. Is his replacement going to shoot the lights out like he did? We don't know. But Ajit is probably more important to BRK today than Buffett. BRK is not going to melt into oblivion after Buffett is gone, but its best days are behind it. As Buffett has acknowledged, just its size alone makes it very difficult for BRK to grow. Truth be told, even if Buffett were 30 years younger and continued to run BRK, I'm not sure the results would be much different than what I think the future holds with Abel at the helm. Buffett and Charlie Munger had a tremendous impact on me, as an investor and as a human being. I am incredibly thankful to both. I hope Warren is there next year, but in either case, I will be. As value investors say, next year in Omaha. If you know someone who'd enjoy this episode, share it with them. To listen to more episodes, visit investor.fm. Enjoy life and prosper.